Welcome back, everyone. This is Deathstroke9, and today we're going to be doing a RuneQuest role-playing in Glorantha video, where we're going to be discussing the chaos and the chaos monsters, and kind of explaining exactly what the books that I have and the articles I've read say about them. So, without further ado, this is Deathstroke9 explaining chaos, at least as well as I can, in RuneQuest Glorantha. Now, please remember, a lot of this is open to interpretation and subjective opinion, so keep that in mind. Your Glorantha may vary, and most of what I'm saying is taken from the books that I have purchased, so the canon books. Now, I know that you guys like to, or I know that a lot of the Glorantha people like to debate about it, so just want to put myself out there and say, just my opinion. Now, let's get into it. So first off, the very first thing you notice when you go to read about Gloryantha is that Gloryantha is like this fragile glass structure almost, and I'm saying glass because I'm saying it's a fragile existence that is pretty weak, and the gods created it, but it's surrounded by chaos and formless, destructive energy. Now, this destructive energy wants Gloryantha back. So Gloryantha was made out of the chaos. At least, according to most legends about it, Gloryantha was created from the chaos, and the chaos wants Gloryantha back. So, the stability that Gloryantha has is precarious. The gods' war kind of proved that when all the gods fought each other. They showed that Gloryantha could fall and be destroyed, and all of their work could be wiped out. The Cosmic Compromise, which is what started God time versus normal, normal time, which is like two separate streams of consciousness, where God time is kind of stuck in one time and space while the rest of time just keeps going, which is kind of what the Cosmic Compromise did, is the only thing that kept Gloryantha from completely being destroyed in the first place. The chaos wants to find its way in, and it'll try to break through into Gloryantha through cracks in the world. How are you going to use this as a game master? Well, first of all, let's think about this. Chaos is the quintessential villain. Now, specifically for monsters. And I guess a human could be tainted by the chaos too. And so chaos is just the chaotic. Really, it's pretty simple. And it is the opposite of order, the opposite of lawfulness. The chaos is generally considered to be evil, abnormal, or wrong. Now, chaos tends to try and reestablish itself throughout Gloryantha. It threatens the entire existence of Gloryantha and every single god in it, which is why they're going to try to fight it. As a game master, you can use the chaos to create very interesting villains or variations of pre-existing monsters. Chaos can enter Gloryantha in many different ways. Spontaneous appearances sometimes happen, but the world randomly arose from chaos, and chaos sometimes randomly reasserts itself. And every time the chaos comes into the world, it begins to spread. However, chaos can also enter the world through the actions of people. This is where you as the game master can really take advantage of this. It's when the unholy acts are committed that the chaos is let in. And you can use that for there's so much story potential there. There are so many different things you could do with that. You could use chaos monsters to kind of show that what true evil has been done in such and so place. And it's really quite interesting how well that concept works for a game master, and how many story plot lines and hooks you can come up with just through the chaos. The book gives an example. It says the chaos can be deliberately summoned by certain types of unholy magic. Since most of the time players are going to be playing as good guys and It is not canon for players to play an evil campaign. Often it'll be cultists or enemies that will be using the chaos magic to summon these beasts and creatures from the other plane of existence, or really summon the mutation or the corruption into the world. And that kind of shows exactly how most people in Glorantha, with the exception, I believe, of the Lunar Empire, which they actually accept the chaos, which is one of the reasons their entire rule is controversial. But in general, people view the chaos as corruption. It is, though chaos itself is formless and structureless, mutual corruption of chaos and order occurs at the weakened seams of the world where the chaos leaks in. As with many aspects of Glorantha, so this is true with a lot of things in Glorantha, because it's such, I've said this before, but I feel like the game has deep roots in philosophy. I found out that it has deep roots in Carl Jung's philosophy as well, specifically. And that is a lot of symbolism, a lot of personification. So it'll take concepts and personify them. Just like H.P. Lovecraft tried to personify the fear of the unknown in his beasts, or just like Bram Stoker's Dracula personified lust, you know. These chaos creatures will personify the chaos. So it will embed itself and manifest in nearby living things, or will create new, disgusting, cruel, evil living things. All bad terms. So in general, the chaos is considered wrong and evil, with the exception of by the Lunar Empire. Now, when you go to... So the battle against chaos is integral to the mythology of Glorantha, and without it, the world as it exists is not understandable. Which is very interesting aspect or facet of actual philosophy in real life. What is there unless you're fighting against something, right? Like in real life, if everything was perfect, wouldn't that kind of be a hell almost unto itself? If there was nothing ever to do and everyone's spirit just atrophied away because there was nothing ever to fight against and there was no one to go to lead the way to try and stop something, right? So without the fundamental opposite to keep everything in balance, the world as it exists is not understandable. Without evil, you cannot recognize good. And that is probably the biggest thing to understand about the chaos is it is basically evil or wrong. And they are going to use the chaos to personify evil. And you can use the chaos to be the big bad of any campaign, because of the way that it kind of personifies the fundamental power struggle or fight in the balance for the world of Gloryantha. So, let's see what else. We've got intelligent mortal beings naturally fear obvious forms of chaos. Atrocities against nature are easily recognized, but chaos also includes good according to the lunar religion. And through illumination, they can overcome fear and resist these soul-blasting temptations which their attitude risks. Most Gloranthans do not believe this, however. So, by the lunar's standpoint, there's good in everything, and everything has balance, right? Or the Lunar Empire believes this. And so they're saying that through illumination, these beasts can overcome their shortcomings. They can defeat their own purpose, almost. Or at least what the purpose is to the rest of the world. Now, again, we're going to look at this from a game master's perspective, just from all of those things that we've looked at. So the living manifestations of chaos, let's finish this, naturally parody other kinds of life on Glorantha. Chaos comes in many, many, many forms. And some aspects of chaos steal life force and power. Other aspects break down ways of organizing, such as government and religion, and still other aspects simply destroy everything that they possibly can. From a game master's perspective, we have everything we need for really any bad guy ever, just from all of that. There is no real need for motivation anymore. It's all just there. We've got everything we need. Now, obviously, you'd want to motivate your characters. That would definitely make sense. But most monsters, if they're tainted by the chaos, they've got something to. They have a reason why they are the way they are, and that makes them very interesting. So, the next thing that we can look at is chaos features. Now, what is a chaos feature? Many creatures of chaos lack consistency that most species will have. So one day you might meet a chaos creature and they're categorized, right? You've got brews. But every brew looks different from the next. Here's a perfect example. I've got the picture of two brews here. I don't know if you can see it, right? That two totally different looking things. One is bigger, one is smaller, one has huge antlers, one has a gaping mouth, the other looks almost like it has a goat head. Like, they look different from each other. They have all of these different things about them. They're really going to be categorized by how alike they kind of seem to be. But in reality, the chaos creatures are all different. Every single creature is going to have a chaos feature. Now, for game masters, you've got this resource in this book right here, the Rune Quest Glorantha Bestiary. And on page 89, there is a table for chaotic features, which you roll 1d100, or you can make up your own, or you can choose one. And they are all the different things that they could have as their abnormality. And then you can figure out how this abnormality kind of infests in the creature, how it is created in the creature. So, plus 4d6 strength might mean that particular brew's one hand is twice the size as the other one and is filled with these constantly clenching and unclenching muscles that are filled with chaotic energy. And it's disgusting to look upon, and it has sores that are weeping pus and stuff all over it, and it's constantly just writhing. And it's way bigger than almost the rest of its body and has to drag it along the ground behind it. But then if it hits something with it, that thing goes flying away because it has so much more power than the regular brew. And that's just one example. But that's kind of how you are going to look at these chaotic features. If you roll D100 and you get 12, 4d6 extra strength for that brew, and then you roll 4d6 and add that strength, and then you say now it's got that hand that we just discussed. So a chaos feature, something to keep in mind, is a chaos feature is not only a source of power to a chaos being, but it's also the source of a chaotic malformation, and that's kind of what I'm trying to mention. I'm trying to really drive home. So a game master can use all of this information to create very interesting beings or enemies. Now, if you flip to the front of the book, we find creature classification. Let's look at the chaos. Many species, including elder races, were corrupted by chaos during the gods' war. So if you think about that phrase right there, it almost sounds as though the gods' war was kind of the first time chaos was allowed into Gloryantha. Gloryantha was an Eden, so to speak, beforehand. It was the perfect garden or something, and then it kind of broke down, and tensions rose, and the gods started fighting each other in heaven and stuff, and they allowed the chaos in. These species can be intelligent or non-intelligent, social or loners, but what unites them all is their chaos taint. And the greatest way for a game master to really drive home chaos taint is to give the creatures some type of malformation. So, in conclusion, and this is a basic overview of what chaos is in Gloryantha, what did we figure out? The chaos is basically evil. The Lunar Empire believes that it is something a little bit different, that it could have good in it, that it needs to overcome the evil, which is a perfectly fine idea to have. But we have discovered that in general, the chaos is considered to be the wrong or the evil in Gloryantha. And the chaos creatures are mostly evil or wrong. Yeah. That's about it. Chaos in Glorantha, a quick, short overview, summary, whatever you want to call it. Chaos in Glorantha Explained, if you will. Now you know, at least you have an idea of what the chaos is, what it means in RuneQuest Glorantha. It's a very integral part of the system, in my opinion. I really like the chaos creatures because they are always going to be different. It's like no two kobolds in D&D are the same. You're never told that. You're told they're all exactly the same. That's why there needs to be hundreds of creatures entries in the Dungeons and Dragons monster manual. The RuneQuest Glorantha bestiary has, sorry, I keep yawning, has only a handful of creatures when you compare it to, say, the monster manual. Yet every single one of these creatures has many different ways of going about it, and it's really cool. I'm really liking Glorantha. I'm liking everything I'm seeing in it, and yeah, this is what you can kind of this is how chaos works. This is the idea behind chaos, the driving force behind it, and how a game master could use it. Thank you very much for watching. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and let me know what other RuneQuest Glorantha content you'd like to see. This was Deathstroke9. Thank you for watching. See you soon.